Chelsea Football Club have Romeo Lavia and Wesley Fofana injured again. And every single fan I've spoken to, you have to sell them this summer. You have to take a loss. It doesn't work like that. The reality is Chelsea would handicap themselves for the next 2 years on the financial balance sheets, and I'll explain to you why. Once you hear this explanation, it's going to convince you one thing. You're going to look at it in a completely different way when you hear transfer. Furthermore, Reece James and the protection plan that Enzo Maresca talked about for him, and why Josh Achempong is going to be depended on more moving forward. So let's break this down. Let's get into the little details and finally get past the gray areas of transfers that people just don't understand and think once the player's on the books, oh, just get rid of him, just sell him. This isn't FIFA. So before we get started, number one, hit that like button. 1,000 likes does wonders for the video. It tells YouTube that other people will enjoy it. Go check it out. And finally, we are 300. We were 350 people. We are 300 people away from 40,000. Can we hit that number by the end of this day? Let's get started. First of all, let me give you the background of what's happened. Then we'll get into the numbers. Romeo Lavia is out. We've covered this story. He has got muscle issues and he'll be out for the foreseeable future. There's no date given. The other story is Wesley Fofana. And this is the bigger one for me because there's a whole heap of controversy with Wesley Fofana being hurt that nobody wants to talk about. But guess what? I'm here and I'm going to be talking about it. Number one, he is hurt. We had 20 days off during the international break. Yet Wesley Fofana somehow is still hurt. Enzo Maresca said it is a more severe muscle issues than Romeo Lavia. He's going to be out longer. Number one, that's a problem already. Why is this a problem? Because for those of you that don't remember, do you remember when Enzo Maresca sat there and Enzo Maresca looked at everyone in the camera and said, oh, it's going to be a long-term injury. He might need surgery. And then Wesley went like all of us 90s babies do, straight away on our phone, and start typing away. Oh, what does he mean surgery? I'm not having surgery. I'm going to be back sooner than everyone thinks. And what happened? Everybody called Enzo Maresca a liar. Everybody said Enzo Maresca didn't know what he was talking about. Everyone said he had no control of his dressing room. But what happened? By the sounds of things and by what the evidence has shown us, Wesley Fofana had his medical team say, you can do it naturally. Chelsea's medical team said, you need surgery. Once you get the surgery, it will recover. What happened? Wesley Fofana went down the route of his own way, right? Clearly didn't get the surgery. He recovered. He came back for 2 games. And now he's hurt again with muscle issues. So technically, Chelsea were right. But like I said then, and I'm going to say it again, the reality is we can't tell Wesley Fofana what to do. The only people that can advise him are Chelsea Football Club because they pay him abnormal amounts of money. But even then, it's his body, his decision, right? He is the one that has to live with that body for the rest of his life. So we can't be telling people, yo, just get another surgery, just do this. So at the end of the day, it's heavily unreasonable, but it is this predicament we're in now, and these calculations are going to explain the issue that Chelsea currently have, because both players are going to miss the Brentford game. So what I want to do right now is explain the numbers behind the deals. Once you understand the way the numbers work, what's going to happen is you're going to start looking at transfers in a completely different way. A lot of people aren't going to like this because there's a lot of numbers involved. But in reality, once you actually rewind and watch it back, if you want to understand more detail, you'll get it. Firstly, anyone saying just sell him, you're not thinking about the actual ramifications of just selling a player. We all know that football clubs are a business, right? There's a balance sheet. On it, you put your assets. Players are assets and your liabilities, what you have to pay for them. The reality is Chelsea Football Club paid £70 million for Wesley Fofana. Right, 70 million. The 70 million pounds is 10 million pounds a year across 7 years. When Chelsea signed him, you could break players' contracts into 7 years. Meaning, if you wanted to spread the payments for 7 years, the Premier League would have said, no problemo, my friend, 7 years, you'll pay 10 million a year, beautiful, right? This is what we know. However, Wesley Fofana currently earns 200k a week, meaning his total package would be around about 72 million pounds. Altogether, all having 7 years of Wesley Fofana at Chelsea Football Club is going to cost you around about 143 million pounds, just roughly, right? And this is where it gets very interesting. Every single year you have Wesley Fofana, you basically have to pay 21 million pounds, right? 21.2 million pounds to keep him. Chelsea have had him for 3 years. I know it doesn't feel like it. I know at this moment in time, I think it's going into the 4th year now. It's going into the 4th year. I know at this moment in time with his injury issues, it doesn't feel like he's played much for us. But, and this is the key here right now, right? For Chelsea to sell him in the summer, two things have to happen, right? Number one, you have to find a buyer that is willing to pay him the salary that he believes he's worth, which is 200k. Or he has to take a pay cut. Or he takes the salary offered to him and Chelsea paid a remainder of his wages that he believes he's entitled to because he signed a long-term deal. So the way it works is, if you look at the transfer fee, he's got 4 years left on his deal. 4 years, 4 times 10, 40 million. Chelsea need to find someone that is going to pay 40 million pounds to get him. That's the simple way of looking. However, he's still got 4 years worth of wages that Chelsea have to pay him. 4 years worth of wages. Meaning, if Chelsea wants to get Wesley Fofana off the books, they need to find someone to pay him 200k and then he'll agree to move and that club needs to pay 40 million. That's not going to happen. Why is it not going to happen? Because he's been injury prone. And more importantly, nobody is going to be stupid enough to pay a player that hasn't played more than 18 games in the last 3 seasons that kind of money. So what Chelsea will have to do is, basically, if someone pays them 100k, they'll have to pay the difference to Wesley Fofana to go. Plus, on top of that, they'll need to find someone to pay 40 million. It's not happening. It's an unrealistic fee. The fee will have to be close to 60 million for Chelsea to be in a break even, not even in a profit. Do you understand what I'm saying? It gets to a standpoint where the fee is too expensive. You're better off keeping him and letting the fee gets even lower, that on the book, and try to fix his hamstrings or his knee. Otherwise, you're in a predicament where you're just going to take a massive loss and you have to sell homegrown players. The key here is, if you look at Romeo Lavia, Lavia is easier to move. However, it's still hard because Lavia's played less football. If you think about it, right? Lavia has played even less. Lavia was bought for 53 million pounds. Lavia's wages are 14 million across the 5 years, even though he signed a 7-year contract. So the rules changed when Lavia came. Now it's a 5-year discount rather than the 7 that it was before. So if in essence, when you think about it, it costs Chelsea around about 13 million to have Lavia on the books. The 13 million is very interesting, right? Because we've already had him for 2 years. For someone to get Lavia off us and for us to break even, we need to pay, and he gets lower wages than he's actually on, which actually is possible because he's on 45k. Chelsea get 30 million offer, someone to take him, and Lavia is happy to go. It'll be fine. That will cover the transfer fee and his wages of 45k will be met. He'll most probably get a pay rise. Problem is no one's going to come in. And when no one comes in, you have that issue. So as long as you think about transfers in 2 ways when it comes to putting it on the book. Number one, whatever the transfer fee is, divide it by 5. That's on what you're on average going to pay on a yearly basis. And on top of that, whatever his salary is, multiply it by weekly salary is, multiply it by the year. So 52 weeks. And on top of that, multiply it by the number of years, 5. And you'll get the overall liability that we have to pay. And this for me is so complicated to move off these contracts that people just don't understand. The market's not there. The players won't want to go somewhere and be underpaid because you owe Wesley Fofana 40 million in wages for the next 4 years. Why is he going to go? I had somebody tell me, why can't you renegotiate a pay-as-you-play deal? Why would Wesley renegotiate it? Think about it logically, right? Someone owes you 40 million for the next 4 years. You know they can pay you it. They're coming to you, you're not playing, you're not earning your money, so I need you to take a pay cut. No, we agreed, you're paying me this. You owe me my money, pay me my money. I don't care what anyone says. He doesn't owe Chelsea anything to write off that kind of money. That is his generational wealth. So for the rest of his life, that 40 million is going to last him and his kids and his family. He is entitled to that money. So I think it is so important that we understand the finances behind these deals before we start actively calling the club out for, why are you not just taking a hit? Bro, it's a 40 million hit. It's a 40 million pound hit. You can't just release players because if you do that, you need to sell Tariq George and Josh Achimpong for 20 million each just to break even. Not to make a loss. It doesn't work like that. It impacts future transfer budgets for bringing in new players. Now that the finance part is over, let's get back to football. All right, so Reece James, apparently they've come up with a little plan according to Enzo Maresca, and the plan is to make sure that he's healthy and manage his minutes. I think this is imperative. I was really against this when I saw that we were resting him against Spurs, But in reality, it worked, and we got the 3 points. It didn't matter that our best player didn't play, but he even said this, right? He said, look, it's one of our best players, and when one of your best players doesn't play, it's one of those things where you're taking a calculated risk. And what I think is going to happen, and you could come back to this video and tell me I'm a clown in the future, but I genuinely think this is going to happen. He'll play against Brentford, hopefully stay fit and then play against Ipswich, hopefully stay fit and then play against Fulham. And in the midweeks, you're going to get Joshua Chempong against Legia Warsaw and Legia Warsaw. That's what I think is going to happen. I think Malo Gusto will play left back. I think we'll get Badiashile getting some minutes, and we'll get Tosin Adebayo getting some minutes. Overall, in my opinion, this is really starting to develop into a good plan. He also spoke about Joshua Chempong. He said, look, he's very important. We trust him. We believe in him. We think he's got a good future. If we need him, he will be ready. He is ready. And for me, this tells you that whilst he trusts him for the Conference League games, he doesn't trust him for the Premier League games, because Semenyo absolutely schooled him, man. With that little shimmy, Semenyo absolutely humiliated him, and it most probably stagnated his development. But it's not fair, man. He's an 18-year-old kid. You can't be too harsh on him. He's a very good youngster. He's a lot better than most 18-year-old kids. And a lot of people say, oh, Kubasi's playing at Barcelona. Kubasi's got so many opportunities and now has grown into that role where he's a mainstay. Chempong hasn't. He had 2 games, got punished on his second one, and ever since then he's been exiled. So it is what it is. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, let me know your thoughts. There will be a video for the post-match reaction for the Brentford game if you lot enjoyed that. I hope you guys check it out. If you also want to hear my take on Lavia, check that video here. I'm going to explain to you why Romeo Lavia just shouldn't leave and why Chelsea should be patient with him even more. But this was the Kavkas View. Peace out. I'm out. Hit that like button and subscribe on your way out.